Yo, my name's Kev Decor. I'm a recording artist. Also, I'm an alien from outer space that happens to live on a rock that is rotating at crazy speeds. They call it Earth. I think you are as well. But yeah, I do all kinds of things, but mainly music, and I'm a maker.
All right. Reporting live from the Shadowlands. Kev Decor. Thank you for coming out today.
For sure, bro. Thank you for having me, man.
I just like to say I think that your music is incredible and you're on the verge of blowing up, reaching some mainstream success. I'm manifesting that for you. I'm sure you already know that you have what it takes. But I just wanted to give you your flowers. How long have you said you've been working on music for 18 years now?
Yeah, first of all, thank you, man. I appreciate the kind words and the encouragement. I take those things deeply, so thank you. And yeah, man, I've been making music since I was 15. I'm 33, on the verge of being 34, so 18 going on 19 years.
That's dope. What got you into making music? What inspired you? Did you was it something in the family? Did you have relatives, or did your parents, push you down that path? What got you into making music?
So I didn't have anybody in my family that was into music like that. I got into band, the school band, for drumming in the 5th grade, but I don't technically count that as my inspiration for music, because at that point I wasn't really thinking about recording or making music. I just was following a natural curiosity for music and instruments. But my real, inspiration was just at the bus stop with the homies, just like battle rapping, like dissing each other, super playful, like young kid type shit. And then eventually we made some diss tracks to like the neighboring town posse that were like the enemies, we were like the poor kids, they were like the rich kids. So we had that Sandlot beef back and forth, and we made some diss tracks over some G-Unit beats at that time. And that's when I learned how to make music through Windows Movie Maker. But I didn't seriously consider actually making music until like a year later, when I moved to a neighboring town where I had 0 friends, no neighbors. It was like in the sticks, all woods, no car. Obviously, I was a freshman in high school, and then I saw this ad for this program to make beats and record music. It was called Hip Hop EJ4. And I ordered that shit without my mom knowing. I just like took her debit card and I ordered that, and it came in the mail as a CD-ROM. I eventually got like an $8 Radio Shack mic, and the rest was history, man. That was really it. Yeah, it was just like curiosity and boredom.
That's amazing, man. You released over 300 songs, is that correct?
I haven't done an official count in a hot minute, and there had been a couple of moments where I tried to like organize my catalog, so I took some songs down that I felt just were like taking up space, but somewhere in the neighborhood of like between 300 and 400, yeah, for sure.
And you said that you went through a period of releasing a song every day. Could you talk a bit about that process and what inspired you to put out music that consistently?
Yeah, first and foremost, I want to set the record straight, because I know some nerds are going to go out there, and I'm a nerd myself, so that's not a diss. Some people are going to go out there and look at the exact time I published the song and all this stuff and be like, well, technically it was the next day. Like, bro, I woke up, I made a beat, I wrote to the beat, I recorded, I edited the vocals, I mixed it, I mastered it. I stayed up till 4 or 5 in the morning creating artwork, and then animating that artwork, and then posting it online to all social media platforms. Most days I went to sleep at like 6, 7 a.m. And then I woke up at like 8 to take my girl to work to be there at 9. So I did that for 184 consecutive releases. And somewhere along the way, I got offered a record deal. I took that deal, and that's why I stopped releasing the records. But yeah, I released a song every day. Shit was the craziest shit I ever did in my fucking life. We'll never do that again, because I definitely suffered mentally, physically, my relationship, everything around me kind of went to shit. But I was so dedicated and committed to like creating some kind of change in my career, my trajectory. And eventually it did, because that kind of was the thing that caught the attention of the label and ultimately led to like a life-changing moment, which didn't quite pan out. But it was still nonetheless a great moment for me to learn and understand the industry.
What would you say was the biggest lesson you learned from releasing 184 consecutive songs?
Ooh. Damn. The biggest thing I learned was that you got to make shit with meaning, man. You got to make shit with meaning, bro. Like, there's always going to be a hot, trendy, current with the times sound and song. And I think one of the biggest things that I walked away from that was feeling like I rushed my process a little bit, and it became more about the metric than the music. For every now and then I just felt like I kind of lost my essence musically, and that's why I took some songs down, because even though it was more about the practice of getting that work in and putting it out and being consistent, which I passed that part of it, other parts suffered, and I don't think that it's really justified for the long term. I wouldn't recommend that anybody do that. I think that releasing one song a week is a great way to exercise that creative muscle, but still give yourself enough time to live life and to also water the other areas of your life.
That's fair. I would compare that to like how Kobe would just be in the gym, shooting shot after shot and just, grinding. It's from my perspective, I feel like there isn't really any negative to releasing all the music. You said some of it might have not had any meaning or substance, but you still improved at your craft, and I can imagine you're like incredible at it. I mean, I listen to your music. It's incredibly mixed. It's like top of the industry level. It's how do I put it into words? It's amazing. So I guess
there are plenty of positives for sure. There are more pros than cons.
Yeah.
I think that it's like people are so hungry to become successful that they will literally take a simple suggestion from somebody, if they respect that person enough, and completely turn their life upside down to achieve that, because they believe that will get them to where they need to go. And I resonate with that, because it may not even be for the wrong reasons. People have, when you choose a path that is like less than conventional, you encounter a lot of doubt, a lot of negativity from people that you love and care about, and that people that you think love and care about you. And so sometimes we will grasp at anything just to get out of the hole and not be the crazy person that everybody makes us out to be. So that's why I say that. But of course, like, I sharpened my sword. I was able to, because of that exercise, and I consider that more of a practice or a discipline, that time period, rather than, I release a song every day, like, look at me. It was more of a discipline that I did for myself to see if I could do it, and I proved to myself that I can. And then when I got into studio sessions with record labels to write for other artists and for my own opportunities, I was an athletic monster creatively, and I still am today, because those things are like muscle memory now. So yeah, I can whip up a song in a day, A to Z. But and it's not to say that I made music that was devoid of meaning, but there are times where you're working off of fumes,
Yeah.
So like you're like just trying to just get past, right, just to squeeze something out of that orange that's already like done. But yeah, like it's great. The thing I would just caution people with anything in terms of like just a discipline is that there is a time for rest, and you do need to allow your creative muscles to recover and replenish. And I don't regret it, but I learned a lot of how to do it better and more efficiently in the future. Yeah, and thank you for the comments on my work. I definitely attribute a lot of my progress.
Would you mind talking a bit about your experience being with the record label?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I can actually hold this. Yeah. So my brother at the time was my manager, and he was working the door at a pretty popular bar in town. And long story short, without getting into extreme details, he met an A&R for a label. And I think the thing that caught their attention was, because everybody gets approached, A&Rs left and right out here in LA, but the thing that caught his attention was when my brother told him, like, yeah, he's been dropping a song every day for like 6 months. And the guy's like, wait, what? That's kind of like my impression of his reaction. And so that like started the interest, and then I got called in for some writing sessions, and then ultimately they were like, hey, we're starting this new like powerhouse label, and we want you to be one of the first artists that we sign. I think I was like the 4th or 5th artist out of like 5 or 6 artists that they were looking to like really go in with. I could say a lot of things, but I'm not going to bash anybody. Let's just say that I learned exactly how the machine works. I got to see behind the big steel mysterious curtain. And I'm so grateful for that, because that informs how I move to this day, because I know the business from that aspect. I know what labels are looking for, how they think. And it just was a real eye-opener for me in that sense, because I got to learn the business side of it, the economics of it. But from an agreement standpoint, they dropped the ball on a lot of things. And I, like, bro, we wouldn't have enough time on these SD cards for me to talk about how many sacrifices I've made in my life to get to that point. And for me to leave the next 7 years of my life in people's hands who I felt really didn't get it or care about me and the art, just didn't seem like a very logical or even ethical decision to make. So I ultimately, a year from the day that I signed, I had the opportunity to get out of the contract, and I did, with my lawyer. And it was if anybody knows about the Saturn return journey, that was my Saturn return. It was like the hurdle I had to overcome emotionally and psychologically, because I felt like I had gotten so close to the moment that I thought was going to change my life, my family's life forever. And for it to just completely dissipate in front of my eyes, I felt like, what do I do now? How do I possibly outdo that? How do I possibly find myself in a nearly impossible situation again, for the second time? And I'm happy to answer any more specific questions that you have, but it was a beautiful disaster. Yeah.
When you said Saturn's return, what is that a reference from?
So I think it's a astrology reference. Long story short, I know a lot of people are very divided about where astrology stands in the argument about legitimacy, but apparently Saturn return is a part of everybody's journey where they have to overcome some large obstacle in their early adulthood. Usually happens somewhere around the 27 to 30 year age range. And the funny thing is that my friend told me about it kind of after all that subsided, and it happened. I signed when I was like 28. And that whole ordeal, I got out of it like mentally in the clear by like 31, 30, where I felt like okay. Because the thing is that I went from like being in the room with people that are in the top 1% of music, who have done things that literally probably only 5, 6 people in the world have done. Being in the studio with those kind of people, to like parking cars for celebrities, working valet at a regular day job, my soul was crushed, bro. Like I felt like a complete loser, to be honest. That's how I felt. I knew that I wasn't, but it was hard for me to rationalize or justify what I believed about myself and what I was seeing in hard 3D reality. You know, like I remember running into Tyler, the Creator, and being like, yo, bro, I make music. I signed with this label before. I've done this, this, and this, you know, trying to just like legitimize myself. So he doesn't think I'm just some bedroom rapper, which technically I was. but like I had so many encounters like that, and it never amounted to anything. And I felt like it was because like, bro, who's going to take a fucking valet driver seriously? Yeah. It's like, if you're that great, why are you here? And ultimately I had a conversation with like a regular customer who was very successful, because I was working in Beverly Hills on Rodeo. But he was like telling me how he had just built this house for this famous rapper, and I'm like, yo, I make music, da 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 da. And I was like, man, like, do you have any advice for me? Like, I feel like I have all this talent and I've done these things, but here I am parking your car. And he's like, bro, why are you here? Like, you should be out there doing that. And that was one of the reasons why I left that job. And now there's something about meeting somebody in your place of work and meeting somebody out in the world as a civilian. Like, I think it's just probably human nature. If we meet at Arby's and you tell me like, yo, bro, like I am the one, you know, I think that maybe not intentionally, but a part of me is going to be like, well, if you are the one, why are you here? You know? And I don't know if that's a question of moral compass, like you should be sacrificing not being here to do that thing, or if it's just like a faulty judgment that we pass on people, like at a low level of like, you know, all right, bro, like you work at Arby's, you know? I don't know, but I felt that, I sensed that, and I don't know. I don't get it. Like, I met Travis Scott, I met Janae Aiko, like all these people, and I gave them solid work to check out, and nothing resulted. So in my mind, I was like, all right, I can't be here. I need to like have these encounters in a more proper or appropriate setting that makes sense. Yeah, I'm not sure how we got there, but that's...
Yeah. If you don't mind me asking, like, how did that interaction with Tyler go?
It was cool. Like, you know, I don't have anything negative to say. I do feel like he didn't check my shit out after he promised. And if he did, I feel like I had really good work that I tried to like give him or get an email, and he was like, all right, well, just tell me your name and I'll look you up. He's like, I'm going to look you up. I'm going to check you out. And I did appreciate how he was very like reassuring in that way, but I never heard from him. And yo, I mean, I got that work. So either he listened and just didn't fuck with it, unrightfully so, or he didn't listen to it, and you know, it is what it is.
Well, one day he will listen, whether or not he has a choice. We're gonna find out where he lives, break into his house, tie him up, and then we're gonna play him your entire catalog from start to finish. Yep. How dare he not DM you and put you on? Right. But
you know what's funny? The funny thing is that like I've had so many so many encounters like that. And the soul crushing part is not that they don't get back to you. It's like when a month or two later you see them pushing some whack ass shit that they're like co-signing. And I'm like, bro, really? This is what you sidestepped me for? Like, come on. But, you know, I do believe everything happens for a reason. And rejection is God's protection. And, you know, probably means something better is meant for you.
Bars. What would you say for somebody that's new to checking out your music? What would you recommend? What are your favorite songs from your catalog?
Man, some of my favorite songs I feel like are just like antithetical to what any person that is an actual fan probably would point to first. But I don't know why I have this song called I'm So Angry. And I was so angry when I made it. I was so angry, just like at life, my situation. But I like it because the melody's dope, the beat's dope. It's a simple song, but the emotion behind it is really... My best records are after I go through something and I take it all out on the record. Those end up being the pivotal records I've noticed from my catalog. So With It or Without It is a big one. I'm So Angry is a personal favorite. I like this song called How to File Taxes. I really like that song. Gotta Find a Way. What song do I play a lot? Bad Temper. Bad Temper is a crazy one. Working on Me is a great one. That's like a fan favorite. And my bad, I'm just really trying to think. What's the one I always go back to? There's like one or two that I always go back to. One of my most recent ones, Just a Heads Up. Just a Heads Up is like my personal favorite in like the last, like this year. I just feel like it really embodies a lot of the things that I enjoy about my work, like melody, good production. It's can be enjoyed because it's up tempo, but it's also deep, so it's got layers to it. And it also came from like a real vulnerable place. So I really like that one. That would be like the first one that I would tell anybody to check out.
How would you describe your sound? Like, if you could use a couple words to describe your music.
I would say my sound is very colorful and polarizing. So there's a lot of contrast in my sound. There's a lot of heavy melody, like melodic themes, but then there's a lot of flow and technical artistry laced within that and interwoven within it. I started off as a backpack rapper. Like, that's my background. So I was a lyrical miracle rapper for a long time. And then I got into melody over time, slowly but surely. And I always loved melody. I always was drawn to melody. I just never thought I had the melodic ability within me. And then I started experimenting, and then I fell in love with it. And then I leaned into it very heavily because it came to me so easily. Like the hard rap, lyrical stuff, I am really good at, but it feels like work because I really have to push myself to the edges of what I'm capable of doing in order to really bring it out. And that sometimes can be very emotionally taxing too. And it is very physically demanding because I can be a bit of an aggressive vocalist, but I have found a nice balance between the two. And I feel like that's the core of my sound now is technical rapping infused with a lot of melody and songwriting. So yeah, I think I bring a little bit of punk rock and commercialism to my art these days.
I guess it's not a random question because it's about music in your life. What age did you go to music school? Like you'd mentioned you went to recording school. At what age did you get into that?
So everybody Senior year was focused on going to college. I knew for a fact I wasn't a college type person, even though I loved the social aspect of the idea of college. And I was going to like college parties before I was even done high school. But I just knew academically college was not going to fill my cup. Music was the only thing I knew for a fact I wanted to do. Always was very clear about that from the beginning once I caught the bug. But I took a year after high school, senior year, to just kind of figure things out because I didn't know such a school existed. My buddy hit me up randomly, was like, yo, I don't know if you know, but you could go to school for audio engineering, production, and music, basically. I was like, what? I didn't even know that was a thing. And then, and then I looked into it. I had like a Full Sail meeting. The guy like flew to my crib from Florida all the way to Jersey. That definitely wasn't happening. Tuition was crazy. So then I did some Googling and I found a school in New York, which was like a fraction of the cost. I think it was like 16 bands. And
For 1 year?
Yeah, for 1 year. It was like a trade school thing. You go, you get your certification, and then like you go out into the field and they help you like secure a job at a studio and all that. I knew I was just going to get my craft down, so I wasn't interested in interning and becoming like a studio engineer. I just wanted it for the purpose of perfecting my craft and having the technical ability to do so. So I went. This was 2010. I got left back in second grade, so I was always a year older than all my peers. But so I think maybe 19 or 20. I think I was 20. 2010. And at the end of that, I had a crazy like bed bug experience, bro, which is kind of crazy, but I'll be honest, because it's kind of relevant, because this whole Fashion Week thing that happened in Paris, I think there was like a crazy bed bug scenario out there. But anyway, I had this like crazy like bed bug experience at the end. Like where I lived.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was renting a room in the hood, bro. And I had no idea this was the hood until I moved in. And it was too fucking late.
Yeah.
But I was in the South Bronx, like in the hood. And right at the end, right after I graduated, almost like by fate, I had this crazy bed bug experience. And that was like the nail in the coffin for me. I was like, yeah, I'm definitely going. Because I was on the fence about going back home or interning. And then I was like, nah, I'm going back home. I'm building a studio and I'm going ham. And that's what I did.
Do you use any analog here? Do you use just microphone to interface? Like, what is your recording setup like?
For years, I was on like the cheapest things you could get out there, like Pro Tools M-Box and like a $100 mic from Guitar Center. But after I went to school and I learned what some of the tools of the trade were, I came home and I borrowed money from like a loan shark and like did everything I could to just get my hands on the best possible equipment that I could at the time. So I ended up getting the Neumann U87 and the Avalon VT 737 SP, which is a microphone preamp. So I would go in from the U87 into the Avalon, and then from the Avalon into the DigiDesign 192IO Blueface interface, which is a HD, Pro Tools HD interface, which at the time was like top of the line. This was like a $15,000 rig that I got like for the low off of eBay, preloaded with like every plugin known to man and everything. So I rolled the dice because it was super sketchy, but it worked out, and I still use that mic to this day. I had to sell the preamp, regretfully, but I had to sell it to make rent out here. Yeah. I had to sell my camera too, but we did what we had to do.
We still pushing.
Yeah, we still pushing, and it actually was a blessing in disguise because it made me have to level up my technical ability to match what I was doing before with less. And now I feel like I've surpassed what I was doing before with less. So, yeah. So right now I'm going U87 into the Apollo Twin, not even the latest one, but the Apollo Twin, and I record and edit and mix and master in Pro Tools.
Fire. Would you say, for the beginners out there, do you think there's a difference between the Scarlett interface and the Apollo interface? Like the Scarlet 2i2. Like the you know.
Yeah, I know which one, the red one, the classic. So, look, personally, I think there is. I think there is a difference between the Apollo and the DigiDesign 192IO, which I was using years ago and is now super outdated. But one of my now mentors, unofficially, he's a mixing and mastering engineer at the highest levels of the music industry. And we had this discussion a couple of weeks ago, and he told me that there's really no difference between the Scarlet and the Apollo. Like technically, like everything in there is technically to spec, just as good.
Yeah.
And that was
Music won't come out better because you're using the Apollo.
yeah. It really doesn't matter. And you know what? I'll take that. I'll take that because my whole thing has always been like to remove the barrier of entry. For a long time, I didn't have the means, and even still, like there's a lot of things that I feel like could make things. There's a lot of things. There are a lot of things now that I feel could make my life, my craft, my career easier and better. But not having access to those things forces me to be more creative and just find more willpower to make it happen. So I never want to be that guy that's like, yeah, you need this. Like, bro, 2 of my songs on my last album, About That Time, and I'll tell you which 2 songs, About That Time, the title track, and Something to Drive To. I recorded both of those songs on a Shure SM58, which is the cheapest microphone you could get.
It's like $100.
It's $100, literally. I got it at Guitar Center, and I financed it because I was so fucking broke, and I had to pawn my U87. So at the time, I pawned my U87. I mean, what happened is, you know, kind of like the shit that has been happening for the longest time in my journey, which is like, you got 2 choices, bro. You can make a living or you can make art. Because, you know, sometimes it gets a little tricky making a living and making art. Because if you told me that you were trying to be in the NBA, which you already know the statistics are crazy to get into the NBA. If you told me you were trying to get into the NBA, but you're working a full-time job, I question your odds. And I also question your commitment because, like, you don't really need to be working full time if you make certain sacrifices. And really, at the end of the day, you need to make sure that you put the time and energy and investment into the craft and to improving your odds. And you know, maybe that's a flawed outlook. Maybe I'm not perfect, but bro, working a full time job, especially if you're a capable person, requires a lot of mental, emotional, and physical exertion. And for you to do all that and come home, eat, cook, shower, keep a household clean and organized, and
any social
right, and create life-changing music or art. I mean, you know, I don't know if somebody out there has figured it out. Well, people have, but there's a reason why the greatest creators of all time throughout history have suffered greatly financially. It's because, to some degree, whether flawed or not, they felt that pouring into their art was more important than putting food on the table.
Yeah.
You know, so that's really why a lot of the sacrifices that I've had to make have happened, because I just believe in my work. I believe in myself that much that I'm willing to starve to create.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say one of the great things about being a creative is, in comparison to the NBA, even though the statistics of success, like the percentage of people that really do create life-changing music and change their lives and their families' lives, even though it is a small percentage, the time horizon, the time that we have to achieve that goal is technically it's non-existent, as long as you don't quit. There was I was watching a video recently, and the guy was talking about how 10,000 hours will make you a master at something, and 20,000 hours will make you like world class, like one of the best in the world at what you're doing. Would you say in the hour range, how many hours would you say you've invested into your music journey?
I've definitely broken the 20,000 hour mark. I've been making music vigorously without wavering since I was 15, like one song at a time. And songs take over 24 man hours to make. And that's on an average modest scale. Really, it's more like yesterday. I spent all day, like 12 hours, just mixing and mastering. Just mixing and mastering. I spent mad time making the beat, writing, like recording, editing. So by the time one song is done, I've invested the better part of over a day's time collectively, and I have over 420 songs that have been published. That have been published since 2000.
I'm not laughing.
No, I know. It's because it's crazy. Yeah. I have over 420 songs that I have actually released online because my SoundCloud has all those tracks from 2013. But don't forget, I started in like 2005. So there's like a whole other half of stuff that I had once dropped as mixtapes, albums, and nobody really has those except people like that got them at that time. But I consider myself to be an expert at my craft. And I know that sounds kind of arrogant, but I've literally put the fucking time in. So yeah, I would say if I'm not already past it, I'm literally like right there. But I would say that the time definitely is a factor. Like, and I do think that the time horizon is non-existent these days, but there's also a reason why we feel a sense of urgency in our early to mid and late 20s, because we know that life creeps in eventually, and that takes a big chunk of your time, whether it's starting a family, like I'll be honest, like I'm a young guy who has the world at his feet. I could be booed up, chilling on the beach, like making my 6 figures at some corporate gig and with a bad chick. Like I could be doing that. Yeah. But it's hard to do that when you are passionate about something that you believe in that most people don't believe in. And it's like you against the world type shit. You know what I mean? And one of my biggest fears as a creator is that I'll find success and then not be able to find love. Cause you don't fucking know. How you gonna know? But so like, if you could take me when I'm grinding and I'm like in the fucking trenches getting it out the mud, then you're a real one and you deserve the fucking world. But if you can't, I can't give you the world, even if I have it, because I know it ain't for the right reasons.
I have so many points or things that I want to say about what you just said the last like minute or so. Same. I have so many peers right now that I see have graduated college, and now they're making decent money, and their trajectory is sort of set in stone. It's not set in stone, but it's very predictable as to what is going to happen next for them. And as creative, we're in a sense we are entrepreneurs. Like, we are entrepreneurs as being an artist in this day and age. If you're going to monetize your art, it's a product and it's a business. What was the point I was gonna make? It's just like I'm not wired to work a 9 to 5. I'm so grateful for my dad. He took me to take your kids to work day one time when I was like 12 years old, and I saw what he did for a living, which he was an accountant, and it just was like, I was like, this is it. This is your life. Like you sit in front of Excel spreadsheet, even though making music is sitting in front of a computer. It's like, it's a whole different ball game because numbers are very finite, and creativity is like endless or infinite, or like the okay, I'm not trying to sound deep or anything.
I invite it. I love all that shit.
Yeah, I've come to realize that I sort of like the unpredictability of the future, because we're pursuing this thing. It's not for everybody. It's like not everybody can, like I'm thinking about, holy shit, am I gonna be able to afford health care in a year? Like or just dental care. Like even if I work 60 hours a week, everything is just, life is just expensive, especially with, I didn't get a degree. Like I was like, but I tried college and it was just like, fuck that. Like I was like, I would rather, I was like, I'm not even,
Nice.
yeah, I'd rather roll a dice. I was damn near feeling like I wanted to like hurt myself or like kill myself, like going to school. Because it was just like so like not what I wanted to do. And at the time I had moved out of my parents' house, so I was like 18 and also trying to work basically full time, and I was struggling. I'm so glad that I made the decision not to go to school. But shit, there was another point you made near the end. Give me a second.
Jobs,
Dating as well. It's like it's hard. I feel like it is hard to find somebody that believes in you when you're not already a successful musician. I mean, that's speaking from my own personal experience. Man, I'm not even making enough effort. But even if I did have a girlfriend right now, I'd be the worst partner ever, because I would not really be paying much attention to her, or I would like to, but that would just distract me from what I have to do. So yeah, I don't even know if it is possible.
I have a couple of things because you said some important things there. First of all, I'm glad that you had the internal, I guess, self-awareness to decide not to go to college. I don't think college is inherently a bad thing. I do feel like it's a business. So capitalism, which I'm not against capitalism, but there are certain aspects. That's another conversation for another time. But and like for a long time, I have not been a believer of like clinical depression. I feel like depression is something that we all go through. That's not to discount or disregard anybody's serious bouts with depression. Yeah. That's just my personal, how I decipher it or interpret it. But you mentioned something important, and bro, taking this path, I've had some dark nights of the soul, man, where I just felt like maybe not being here was easier than being here. And until you kind of like reach those levels of rock bottom, it's kind of hard to comprehend how anybody could think like that. But I understand it, and it's like a topic that I hold near and dear to me, because like, bro, life is fucking hard, bro. Life is hard. And not many people talk about this shit, but it's especially hard for men, because a lot of what you do as a man kind of is how society judges you and what makes you a suitable mate. And like, if we get to like the super, like your status, like if we get to the bare bones of what it means to be a man to society and what it means to be a fulfilled human, love, like family, purpose, meaning, being a resource to others. Those are important pillars of a person's life existence. And then from a societal level, money, resources, being able to provide protection, security, all these things. So there are some conflicts of interest, because men end up having to like pick one or the other of both sides. And you end up with like a Frankenstein of a life where like, yeah, maybe you have the resources and you can provide shelter and you have a mate, but are you fulfilled? Do you have purpose? Are you doing the things that you are truly called and inspired to do? And maybe you can pour into the world in a much better way, in a more effective way that has more impact, by not being in a cubicle, So I feel very strongly when it comes to like those topics, because I've been there, and I know what it means to be a young man who's intelligent, is capable, has his wherewithal, and still feel like society is telling you like, bro, you're a fucking nobody. and that's a terrible feeling. And a lot of my art has a lot to do with helping people kind of like realize, like, bro, you're not, first of all, you know. College and these man-made constructs are just that. They're man-made constructs. No other man that woke up and decided what life should be is going to impose that on me, because I'm my own person. I'm my own man. I have my own thoughts and my own ideals of what life should be and how it should be carried out. So, you know, I just hope people like know that it's okay to take a less than conventional path and to create a life that is more ideal for them and their personality type. So it brings me joy to know that you've followed your curiosity to here. And more people should do that. And yes, it's fucking hard, but so is the other life. Mm-hmm. You know, you just get to do it from the comfort of a suit and tie.
Yeah, I heard this quote yesterday, and I think it was Alex Hormozy. He said it in an interview. He said, we get to choose our regrets in life. And I chose to have the regret of, you know, being so far from my family. I chose to have the regret of all my personal relationships back home, you know, dissolving. Let me check the camera real quick. Sorry. I chose to have the regret of uncertainty. Is uncertainty a regret? Uncertainty is also like a feeling.
Yeah, I like that. If you don't mind. I want to say something. I'm like the worst interviewer because I just want to talk about shit whatever I want. But yeah, so that's something that I've realized, what you said, that you've learned about yourself, that you kind of like the uncertainty. I like that too. And it's not that I'm just like this thrill-seeking you know, nut who's just like, fuck it, let's roll the dice on everything. It ain't about that. Yeah. It's about like the endless possibilities, which you were kind of going down that road earlier. Like, it's the endless possibilities. It's like what you know inside of you is your potential. Yeah. Like, you know what your life can look like. You don't have to succumb to this your week starts on Monday thing. You could be fucking in Arizona on a plot of land that you own, you know, fucking doing target practice on a Monday morning.
Yeah, we're both in Beverly Hills every single day, and one of the craziest things that I love to see or hear is like a V12 engine, like an Aventador SCJ. That car's like, you know, maybe $700,000. There's no job out there. I don't even think a neurosurgeon, maybe. No, I actually don't think there is a job you can go to school for to afford a car like that. That's a great point. It's like there are endless possibilities with creativity, and I've always had, you know, dreams of having like on my wall I had like a Lambo Gallardo and some other pictures of cars, and I've always been fascinated by cars and just anything with an engine, and I still do think that music is what is going to get me to achieving those goals, but it's like I can't really focus on the metrics of what I'm getting out from my craft right now. It's like I just have to focus on creating the best work that I can possible, instead of, you know, how many listens did I get today, or why do I only have, you know, 36 Spotify followers after uploading for 3 years. It's like I still do believe tomorrow I'm gonna create the song that's gonna like change everything, you know. And that's back to the endless possibilities thing. It's just I that's what I love about music, is it like it's like energy. It's like you're sharing like your energy with somebody else, if that makes sense. Like when I listen to like Yeet or Lancey Foe, like I love listening to mumble rap when I'm driving on the highway. I like listening to the same song over and over again, but the energy from that song just like it gives me adrenaline. Just listening to a song can give me adrenaline, and it's like it's like a drug in a way. It's like like there's endless possibilities, there's endless emotions you can create. And yeah, that's, I didn't have a question to follow up.
I got something. First of all, you're interviewing me, but I gotta say, bro, that like really we should be interviewing each other because your work is phenomenal. Like is not bullshitting. I know for a fact that your work is gonna touch many people. It's great on a technical level, and there's a lot of meaning behind it. And that's the deadly combination that a lot of people don't get right. You can be aesthetically nice, but it's got to have meaning. That's the gas inside the invisible engine of music. And you're talking about energy. Like that's the energy transfer, is the emotion that you put into it. So I can't wait to do this from like a hilltop one day and be like, damn, remember that one day we met up at this park and did that interview? Yeah, right.
Your music.
Nah. Yeah. But I think, Tyler's, he's amazing. He'll be more amazing when he listens. But anyway, I think when I watch movies that try to depict the dystopian future, it's always fascinating because the rebels or like the guys or the people are always fascinated with these machines that fly or time travel or just cars. And I think really at a fundamental level, the engine, the vehicle is a representation of exploration. And I think that's why probably it resonates more with men, because men, we're just hardwired to explore, to discover new land, to see the world and conquer. And I think that the car is a representation of that. It means going anywhere and being free to roam and discover. So I appreciate cars and planes and all that shit just as much as any other person. And then I was going to say that there was something you said that I was going to mention, but now it escaped me. But anyway, yeah, I feel it, bro. Like, it's music is actually I was going to say that, I think people are going to wake up to the idea of the economics behind music a little bit more on a social level as time goes on, because really we're investors investing in intellectual property. It's the same thing as acquiring actual property. Like, you may invest in a house in a low income area because you believe that in the next 5 years it will be gentrified, which that's a whole other fucking topic. But you kind of roll the dice on that. There's no guaranteed in that, that's going to be successful. And so with us, every song is an investment. It's a creation. And the reason why, I'm going to coin this right now. I believe that music is the poor man's real estate. And I say that because for the longest time in my life, not having money has felt like, well, what can I do without money? Well, I could use ideas to create property, assets out of thin air. And if I can convince enough people that this is valuable, or get it to a point where the market agrees that it's valuable, then I have effectively created something out of nothing. And so I think that that's the thing where it's the great equalizer for me. And so when you say like, yeah, I believe that my music is going to get me these things one day, I know it's not from a superficial standpoint. It's more so from like these are what I have to create with. And in a world where, choice is a luxury, I want to create that for myself.
In a world where choice is a luxury, I want to create that for myself. And that's so true, because the people who work the corporate jobs, they can't sit on the beach every day. They can sit on the beach Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or maybe they can use their paid vacation time. But, if you achieve the success that I have and like I have such ridiculous goals. Like one day I want to own a racetrack, you know. Like, yeah, I want to host a TV show like Top Gear. Like I want to even saying I want to get paid for music and video is it sounds ridiculous, but the reality is, like, we have incredible tools and incredible ability. It's just about packaging the product in the right way at this point. And I guess not taking things so seriously. I feel like that's a major key for me, especially because recently I've been trying to focus on it has to be better. But what if, like, but why can't I just enjoy making it, you know? Having no followers is a perfect thing, because then I don't have to listen to anybody tell me what they want next. Yeah.
That's actually what I was gonna touch on, man, is that, like, you know, for musicians out there, first of all, I just want to take this moment on your platform to say that I'm going to be annoying to a lot of platforms, because I just mostly want to speak to our other creatives out there, you know, like in terms of like dropping gems, because I feel like there's been so many times in my career where I wanted to hear different things. So I'm going to be the one that like talks about certain shit. But anyway, yeah, man, like, don't let that shit discourage you. At the end of the day, those numbers it's all vanity metrics. It's all fake. It's not real. It's wrestling. It has no bearing on the actual art. I mean, I like to reference great painters a lot, whether it's internally and metaphorically or with others, because it's such a great way to paint, pun intended, the way that being an artist should be and has been for hundreds of years. Like, there's no guarantee. The moment that you let go of that shit and you realize, like, yo, I could be struggling for a long fucking time. I could not have a good, stable way of making money if I'm gonna pour all my efforts into creating what my soul just is begging me to create. Once you accept that, you have reached a certain level of mastery from an emotional standpoint when it comes to artistry, because that's just the sad truth, man, is that, like, Vincent van Gogh was never recognized during his lifetime. And he went out sad.
For real?
And so many great artists, like Pablo Picasso is like one of the only artists that truly got to enjoy the spoils of his work, you know, during his lifetime. And that gives me hope. And don't get me wrong, I'm still trying to live as comfortably as possible in the sense of like being able to have the things that I need. But there's something about letting go. Once I let go of like, this needs to happen, I gotta make this relationship work, I gotta get this deal. Once I let go of all that bullshit, my life suddenly became so much more peaceful. My work got better. Mind you, there have been moments in my career where I have been in much better positions statistically speaking, but my work is so much better now. You get what I mean? So like, it's not truly a reflection of where you are artistically. It's just that navigating the business and the market can be tricky, but I do believe that the superpower is in letting go of expectations, letting go of results, and truly moving from an artistic standpoint and holding yourself accountable to be consistent. Because if you're consistent and you're pushing yourself, it's only a matter of time before you stumble upon a system that works for you financially and artistically.
Amen. That was very well put. I'd like to wrap up by asking you, if you had any advice for your 15-year-old self, what would you say to them?
Damn, that's a good one. I would say continue to have that blind, crazy ass faith, man, because it's funny, because like the more you know, the more you learn, you would think the better you handle certain things. But really what happens is that the more you start to get realistic about things. And man, I've met so many people that are incredibly talented throughout my journey, and your initial thought is always like, how's this person not filling out stadiums?
That's what I saw when I met you.
But
Shit. I was like, what the fuck?
Bro, thank you, bro. I really appreciate that. But like, seriously, what you realize is that, yeah, the art itself is important, but what ends up stopping most people is their imagination, their mindset. It's like the perfect voice, music, art, but their head is fucked up. Like they can't get past their self, doubt or like whatever. You know what I mean? So like as a young kid, when I was 15, there were no limits. And there still are no limits.
Yeah.
But when that bill is coming up, you're like, all right, there's some limits. Like keeping that untethered, uninhibited self-belief and imagination and curiosity and wonder and like, fuck it, I'm living now mentality. I think, yeah, you're gonna scratch some things along the way and bump into some walls, but I think it does more good than harm in the long run. And I think most people just stop. They just fall into these hard set ways of society, and that kills them. That kills their creativity. So for the 15-year-old version of myself, I would say like, yo, don't listen to no motherfuckers but yourself, bro. Like you always had that internal compass that was just historically correct. Just trust that shit, bro, because that shit, you will go through this entire journey just to arrive at the same place and realize, damn, I was always thinking along the way, the right way. And then I let some people put doubt in me in one way or another. Not always intentionally, but don't doubt yourself. Be crazy, be weird, be offbeat, be cringe, because ultimately it'll pan out. And that's my advice for all the young guys out there and, chicks.
Kev Decor, thank you, man. That was amazing.
Bro, thank you. Like, this shit means more than you know, man. I'm still learning how to process good compliments and things because for a long time I've had to build a protective layer from not taking things the wrong way to continue my path. But I'm opening myself up to being like, you know what? Yeah, I appreciate that. So thank you, bro. Thank you for being a solid character, and stay weird, man. Stay weird.
All right, that's it.